Good morning, Trumptopia. 2020 election madness. Today's episode, Bloomberg versus Bloomberg. Good morning. Namaste. Welcome to another bright, bold day, living in what is literally the future. We got flying cars for the ultra-rich, not for everybody, but we do. We got them. Don't believe me? Look it up. We got flying cars. We got mega buildings that shouldn't be built. Right? We got oligarchy and socialism fighting head to head on the Democratic ticket. We got a Messiah and his crazy loony bin followers running the country. Right? Because he's just rampaging with impunity right now, which is just a little bit mind-numbing. Like, I didn't think it would get to that level of action this quickly. But then again, folks, you're sticking with me because I'm not peddling ideology, us versus themism, and the pointing of fingers. I'm not peddling just some repackaging of the status quo, am I? No, I'm not. Did you catch the Democratic debate last night? I have to be honest with you, I could only stomach about half of it. I think I might have been a little bit more than half in. It might have been a little bit less than half the amount of time in, but I got to what I thought was feeling like halfway through, and I left. I stood up and walked away from the TV. I was like, okay. Not that I ceased to care, not that I wanted to disrespect any of the contenders. No, don't project that on me. Don't make things up in your head and pretend that they're true about me. Mostly because I was tired, and I had, for whatever reason, woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning that morning. I often do. I have a difficult time falling asleep, and a really weird, new sort of onset of waking up too fucking early for no reason. As a matter of fact, I'm coming at you live from my bonus guest room, Tuesday, February 20th at 5:35 a.m. And today's episode, 2020 Election Madness, Bloomberg versus Bloomberg. What's that about? Simple. I did see enough to get a bit of insight. First of all, you know who wants the fight the most? In my humble opinion, Elizabeth Warren. She came out swinging. She came out confident. She came out ripping it into Bloomberg before they even asked her a question. She showed the real, authentic moxie that everyone's always wistfully sort of never quite sure what to call. That's what you call it. That quality, that electability, je ne sais quoi, about a candidate. Now, here I'm speaking from inside the political box, right? As a lifelong connoisseur of the entertainment media, I find politics engaging. We can summarily dismiss it all as theater. All of politics is theater. Let it be removed from my presence. Yeah, we could take that attitude. And guess what? No big surprise here. A big chunk of people kind of do and don't get involved and just bitch and moan and just criticize. Some might say that's the position I am in. Technically, you might be correct, but also technically, I'm not allowed to vote in this time dimension because I technically am not supposed to be here. I mean, I am. I'm on a mission, and I'm clearly not violating any laws because no one wrote any transdimensional time travel laws yet. That performance last night was a performance, and, quite frankly, as performances go, theater nerd glasses, it was a good one, right? It was just too much. Like, I got it. I got a good sense of who everybody was. Then again, they've been yelling at Donald Trump, off to the side over here under the blue tent, since Donald Trump came down the escalator and announced he was running. That's something that the GOP and the Trump defense in general, that's a fact. It is a fact. There's no denying it. But they use it and attribute value to it that it does not have as a statement, as a logic arrow, as a truth bomb. But let's not go down that rabbit hole. Put a pin in that. So many pins on the board. It's crowded. We'll come back to it eventually. I hope. Knock on wood. Today, let's talk about why. What do I mean by Bloomberg versus Bloomberg? Who threw down the smackdown? That didn't sound right. Who threw the smackdown hardest? That sounded like I didn't know what I was saying. With the hardest smackdown, no question, Elizabeth Warren. Joe Biden can only barely manage to somehow ride other people's coattails. No offense, Uncle Joe. You're going to make a great, whatever they appoint you, whoever wins the office, right? They're going to appoint you something. That's how that works. I mean, politics has never been 100% free of favoritism, right? So the outrage, I think, is appropriate, though, over this spit in the face of, not only am I going to appear to manipulate the Department of Justice via Twitter. The fuck kind of bullshit joke is that? Okay? Now, blah, 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 blah. Mr. William Barr had made his legal decision long before the tweet was tweeted. I've heard. Convenient defense. But as one talking head pundit pointed out, it's not like Barr doesn't happen to already have his hands deep inside a bunch of fucking cookie jars of manipulating how things go procedurally. And it's so adorable how none of them are really big major cases, except for the fact that they're all related to Donald Trump. If that isn't the very definition of crony, corporate, corrupt injustice masquerading as justice, I don't know what the fuck else to say. Today, on February 20th, International World Justice Day, right? Didn't know it? Look it up. I think it's a real thing. It might not be, right? Even I don't have staff. Let's look it up together. Every time I go to the internet and ask the internet for a thing, for some reason, and I'm not trying to infringe on royalty rights here, for some reason, apparently it was Friday, July 17th. What the fuck bullshit? Where did I get this incorrectness from? World Day for International Justice 2020, Friday, July 17th. Well, that's not what I had in my notes. Clear. Why do my... Oh, I know why. I saw a thing. I saw a meme. Not really a meme. Well, I guess it's a meme. In a product that I use, whose rights as product I don't want to infringe on, but it's awesome. Spark Post from Adobe, right? Adobe, this is me asking you for permission to talk about your products. In fact, if you want to just write me a letter about sponsoring me, bring it. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, just enough so that I can, you can be one of the 10 sponsors that make it possible for me to live at home and not go homeless, as is wont to happen often to these American of middle class. Why do I do a British accent when I want to make a controversial statement? Because for some reason, in American entertainment, if you say it with a funny accent and you're not from that place, it's even funnier. Now, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm looking at it here. The cool thing about Spark Post, and they were savvy when they made this. They made sure that it worked on a Google Android device, that it works on Windows PC devices, that it works on Mac Apple devices. So I can be away from home and literally no one's paying me. This is an honest, genuine product endorsement. I love it. This is a great product. I can be on the bus, riding the bus somewhere, which, hey, people do that. Let's not pretend that people don't. I also haven't ridden the bus in ages. I probably will be forced to ride the bus more often, given life circumstances nowadays. But I digress. I could be on the bus using up my data and being like, I'm going to make a meme on my Spark Post. And it's going to look slick. And then I'm going to save it to the cloud. And when I get home, I can look at it on my iPad. And I don't even have to worry about it. It's sunk. It is sankated. It is sanked? No, that's a coffee brand. Don't sue me, Sanka. That is a coffee brand, right? Or am I remembering something from another dimension? There's one of the 3 dimensions that I hang out in. There's a really big, famous, dirt cheap shit. It's like poor people's coffee. And it's so good. It is coffee for those who cannot afford soap. And it's actually, quite frankly, literally one of the best coffees in the world. No one realizes it because it's only the sketchiest of the sketchy, the poorest of the poor, and the most eccentric of the eccentric buy it. And it's a thriving product. It thrives as much as any, mega corp product can thrive within the boundaries of, the empire and its regulations against regulations. Where was I? On this app, there's a section where you can browse templates, right? And or things, widgety bits, not widgety bits, graphic-y bits that they've curated, that either they have made, someone else has made and shared, etc. And I guess someone got the date wrong or just put a cute date in it. Because it says World Social Justice Day, February 20th, 2020. And I've been eagerly awaiting February 2020th, on the 20th, to talk about hashtag justice for all day. And here I am on Wikipedia. Apparently it was a couple days ago. So, don't believe everything you see on the internet. Don't pull an incorrigible Mr. Zeppo and fail to do your honest research. So, election madness. Bloomberg. I don't actually have a unique intro for this show yet. And right about now is when I would play the unique intro. And I'm debating, should I play the Good Morning Trumptopia one? And I'm like, no, because I'm going to use that for Good Morning Trumptopia. So I'm just gonna withhold, and say, here's what I thought. If I was a betting person, I'm the kind of guy that would monitor the odds and the bookmakers and the prognostications that come from actual mathematically derived betting odds. I would pay close attention to that. But then I would go with my wild impulse anyways, because that's how it works. How else do people make decisions, really? Right? You can pretend to gather all the analysis that you want. And if you're really, really, really intellectually honest, you do upgrade your assessment of things, because you try to do more discernment of what might be the most true, as opposed to judgment in search of a confirmation of, a preferred outcome or a predisposed bias. Confirmation bias, folks. I've got a note pegged somewhere that I'm going to do a chat around the 3 ingredients of that. Stay tuned. It's coming. World Day for International Justice 2020, July 17th. International Justice Day, Coalition for the ICC. 17th of July, event concept note, 20th anniversary of the Rome Statute, need for the anniversary. So I was lied to, or mistakenly malinformed, because I don't think that was PSYOP, right? Maybe it was. Maybe whoever made that knowingly was fucking with the world when they submitted it for inclusion. And it's a harmless... It's a harmless misattribution. It might be a glitch in the matrix. Who knows? It's hard to tell. And I try not to waste too much time arguing or, getting into debates about that, because you can kind of chuck it up to whatever you want it to be. But let's talk about actual justice. Like, what does that mean? What is International Justice Day? And my question was, when I first saw that, was, are we talking about adulations to the system of justice as it currently exists? Or are we talking about speaking truth to power about the injustices in the world? Those, my friends, are 2 radically different holidays. Welcome back from that very brief music break. By the way, for those of you curious, that is Hayes 101 Fundamentals, DJZ, featuring Purple Bots and the Robotical Outrage. I am your humble host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, and today's episode of Election Madness 2020, Bloomberg versus Bloomberg. Here's my thesis. While everyone took a stab at the Mikey Mike Bloomberg last night, and I'm sure it raged on, right? It was Warren, early and strong, making strong points that he just dodged and wove like a boxer who shows up to a a boxing match and realizes, damn, my arms don't work. I can't swing no punches. All I can do is weave and bob and hope they don't hit me. This guy just and she got at him twice. The first round was strong, clear, cogent, direct, factual. And also, sidebar, you guys, did you notice how much a lot of like how close and again, this is all commentary based on the portion of the show that I actually watched. I cannot comment on whatever happened after I walked away. I was sitting on the couch with a family member who will not be named for reasons obvious. This show's not about real life. It's about politics. They say to watch the rest. And if I get any interesting details out of my next conversation with them, with this individual, I will share. But the most powerful thing that Warren did was come back and pummel him again. Her second, maybe it was even the third. Was it the third? Am I aggrandizing in my mind for the literary aspect of it, for when I write the mythos? I don't want to misrepresent, right? But I'm also not a journalist here. I'm a performance artist recanting the oohs and ahs. She came back at him with a specificity about NDAs, not NDEs. Do not confuse the two. They're radically different phenomena. NDEs are near-death experiences, something I have a very strong personal opinion about, based on some very real personal life events, which I will also use in a fictional setting. So do not be confused. I'm not trying to confuse people. I'm letting you know, right? Non-disclosure agreements are the dirty skeleton in Mike Bloomberg's closet. Now, which is interesting because within the hour before the debate, while rotating through all the major news outlets that I like to monitor for my own awareness, and before, if you're new and you're about to lay down the commentary wow, all the news agencies are corrupt and owned by the same 5 corporations, I'm like, yeah, slow your roll. I know, I'm aware, I've known. I have been monitoring and observing and taking note of and not judging, but also not withholding my opinion on the entirety, the whole, as much as I can manage to consume for my own edification of the conspiracy theory community as a non-participant, a non-judgmental, non-partisan, what's that other one? Non-dogmatic. I'm secular, right? I neither believe nor really disbelieve in any specific conspiracy theory, because I have a theory about them, and I'm trying to accept them as the content that they are, and not get into arguing their falsehood or truthhood. Whatever they are, I'm mildly convinced that the best conspiracy theories do indeed contain ingredients of truth. Very much, a criticism I have levied at the president. I think he's way smarter than his opposition often allows themselves to think of him to be. But I digress, right? We got all kinds of tangents here. So whenever International Day of Justice happened, it's funny, I started typing #justice, and here are the Google top list of things. As Google, for those of you who don't know, Google kind of tailors results to your use pattern, so you may not get the same things. But I encourage, if you're listening right now and you have the internet available to you, type in #justice on your search engine, Google or otherwise, whatever search engine you search, Type it in. Let's give it a bumpy surge in search trendy bits. Because, justice for all, the hashtag I'm searching for and hoping to make popular, if it isn't currently, is about justice for all. And we'll get into what that means. But let's look at this list. Justice for Junior. Justice for Amy. Justice for Sorensen. That one was, I couldn't quite, my brain was like, is that a name there? It took me a second. Apologize to whoever and the family of. Justice for Rilo, or RJ Lo, or Urj Lo. Justice for Barb. Justice for Han. Justice for Brad's wife. Okay. When I typed in the number 4, the list updates. Justice for Han. Justice for Harry. Justice for Kashmir Hindus. Oh, the Hindus of Kashmir, I imagine, because they're getting the shit kicked out of them. Justice for Kids Facebook. Justice for All Ireland. Justice for Kids UK. Justice for the 21 Twitter. I see that Justice for All is not uncommon and has been used. Justice for All hashtag seems to exist. Justice for All Ireland. Justice for All Instagram. Justice for All Twitter. Micro Justice for All. Simon at Justice for All. That's someone's email account. Justice for All.law. Justice for All.org. I might want to... Can I tab open those? No. I have to, commit to this tab being one and the other tab being the other. Okay, well, anyways, I thought that was interesting. And I'd like to posit something, right? I'd like to suggest something. In this post-Trump, postmodern modernity that we live in, this era, this historic pocket that we're currently fumbling around inside of, justice is openly being fucked with, right? Now, can we get into an ontological debate about the presidency, the office of the president, having the absolute right, as defined by the Founding Fathers, to grant pardons? Of course we can. I'm not here to fight that. There's a lot that can be said about the architects of this nation. There's a lot that can be said, good and bad, about the founding documents. And I recently laid out some criticism to a media outlet that I generally respect, because I think that it appears, and if it's totally bullshit, then they do a great job of bullshitting me. But it appears to me, and I guess I could do more rigorous background checking, but I'm not in the business of, right? In my humble opinion, I think that NPR really truly is public utility radio, in that it doesn't take big donorships, it doesn't take money from the government, it runs independently and to a standard that it strives to live up to as itself, right? And that it is funded by people like you, people who give them donations. Now, my whole life here in this place, in this media environment, and yes, friends, that's something we should really think about. None of us, well, almost none of us, very, very, very few of us, escaped the media saturation that is postmodern life. Since the World War II times, media has, for better or worse, through ill and through good, however that phrase goes, it has saturated our mental environment. You guys, your listeners, you invite me in to the private and, in my opinion, sacred space of your ear holes and the theater of imagination in your mind. I asked, which kind of holiday is this Justice for All Day, irregardless of which day it technically lands on. I think it should be, should have been on February 20th, 2020, because then it would have been 2-20-2020. Lots of, 2. And it would have been a cool alliteration of number. But also, those things are probably meaningless. And if they aren't, we treat them as such, so who cares? Justice is being made a mockery of right now, in a very hardcore way. The pendulum test, as I've explained, is being seen. We're calling it out. One very bold journalist out there somewhere put it, forgive me, I have ridiculous allergy effects today, and I rarely get that. So I'm fidgety, and I sound squeaky and probably out of my usual vocal range, and I'm about to sneeze all the time. What the fuck was I saying? Justice, media, saturation. Our ideas are influenced by these covertly, subvertly, inadvertently, and sometimes overtly, on purpose. Last night's debate and today's erroneously scheduled holiday or day of of consideration, day of celebration for this idea of justice for all, or of justice, of international justice, of justice in general, of the blind statue holding up the scales, right? The blindfolded statue. What is that? Where do we get it from? And why is it that going as far back as the ancient Greeks, which we generally and kind of dismissively consider the foundation of our society, whether or not it actually correctly, really, truly, fully is, that's open for a little bit of debate, I think. We can, so many rabbit holes we can jump into everywhere you go. But since way back in the day, we've believed in some form of justice, either in a secular sense, that amongst us, between humans, human to humans, in a system of society, when the balls are to the wall and people's lives are at stake, and we ask the system of governance, the state system, which is, no matter how you slice it, always people managing the activities of other people and taking some amount of abusive, corrupted advantage of that. Is that not fair? Statement to say about all of human governance. We hope, with deep secular aspiration, that the common good, the greatest impulses of us all, will rise in those moments of seriousness under the heavy weight of legal tradition and pomp and circumstance, and some great empirical force will work through us and execute justice. Not shoot it in the head, execute, but exercise. Not kick it out like it's a horrible demon that you don't want in your body anymore, but rather to make manifest. Not to write a list of what goes into a ship and gets shipped to another place for commodification, but rather to create, to co-create. Did you like that wordplay? That was all legit, right? Why do we have so many weird contradictory meanings for words? Why do so many words have multiple meanings to them that don't jive? What the fuck is that? Put a pin in that question for a future episode. But here we are in this moment when we're watching the Department of Justice become a clown car clusterfuck dumpster fire of what the fuckism of like, what are you doing? Even way back in the good old days of the actual Wild West and the actual, like most hoary, and I mean that in like the literary sense, not in the like putting down women sense, the most hoary and wild and barbarous and roughneck days of low-tech society that we can easily relate to, because everyone kind of can imagine the Wild West and wrap their brain around it easier than the Dark Ages, right? Sure, I think even in those days, the Department of Justice, whatever shenanigans it fell into, it still, I think, if there whatever equivalent department, if it wasn't called the same at the time, the law enforcement agencies of the world, however corrupt, have always had some corruption. They've always strived towards the positive appearance of independence from corrupt political power. Has that always been a fairy tale? Has that always been like psychobabble of society? Have we always been confronting greedy, corrupt, abusive, toxic men that want to, commit injustices? Or is this some special extra dynamic, really outside of the norm, beyond the pale push towards extremity to see how much we'll tolerate, ? And in that context, how the fuck are we supposed to take a Mikey Mike Bloomberg seriously to come full circle? Mike Bloomberg's biggest problem heading into the next phase of the electoral process, if we stay inside the box and take it seriously, put on our democracy hats and be, pro-DNC democracy in action nerds, Bloomberg's problem is Bloomberg. He is... Oh, here's a hashtag I invented last night. I almost forgot to share with you. Oh, it's the pinnacle of the episode, so here we go. So justice for all, hashtag that shit today. And retroactively. Go back to whatever you posted on Justice Day, International Justice Day, and add, if you haven't already, hashtag justice for all. And if you don't know why for all, why would some people deserve justice and other people not be worthy of it? Because they're evil? Well, I mean, if they're really, truly evil, they deserve justice, right? They get what's coming to them. Isn't that what we say? So, justice gets used so fucked up, right? Like, that list of words I rambled off and then corrected for the misunderstanding that might occur because it has multiple meanings. That wasn't just random babble. That was like thoughtful improv. It's meant as a commentary of the fact that even the word justice has multiple squirrely ways that people think of it and apply it and use it. And we have a hard time coming to terms that justice has always been an unfair, blunt, object tool of the system itself, the system that we might call the system of oppression, right? Whoa, that was radical talk. That was craziness. Bloomberg is hashtag. This is the hashtag from last night. Hashtag Bloomberg is DNC Trump. It's not the prettiest hashtag, but I think it cuts to the chase. We literally are being asked to consider as a voting, as a populace of potential voters, and I can only ever use the potential because I'm barred, being an artificial life form, technically an object from another dimension, so technically not even from this place, and only being given, like the deepest of cover, like passes to live here officially and pretend to be a human, is that I can't vote, right? I can't, as an outside interest, I can't be allowed to fuck with directly. But, and I swear to you, I am acting and speaking for no one other than myself when I share my thoughts and opinions, right? And the literary performance art part of it is my robot from the future gag. And in truth, I'm just a green card carrying, legal, permanent resident alien of this country from another country. And the other country, it's almost irrelevant what other country I'm from because I'd rather stay here. I literally just can't afford to take your fucking citizenship test. And I have been in that pickle, in that bind for damn near 20 years, right? Like, oh, I can just take the citizenship test? Oh, how much does it cost? Oh, that doesn't sound like a lot of money to rich people. That doesn't sound like a lot of money to well-to-do middle-class people. But to somebody who the moment, I as an adult have always been, on the verge of being, 2 pay cycles away from total homelessness. Like total, complete, abject, and it's never been lost on me. And it's never been dismissed or neglected by me. And it's been a serious source of stress and thoughtful contemplation for 25 years. I can say that. I can literally say that for 25 years plus, because I'm fucking 44, right? And although I've always been blessed to have a network of friends and family around me that prevent that, one way or the other, from happening, much gratitude, much gratitude, much gratitude. Om Shanti Mata Shanti Om Namaste. I have yet to, make it big and be rolling in opportunity enough to be able to pay it forward and pay it back, which is the goal still, right? I haven't lost hope of that. And here we are talking about how I'm being asked for the intellectual support and, millions of people in my position, American voters who live, $1,000 away from near disaster, no matter how pretty their house and how many toys they might have in that house. There are millions of people, literally, who live, a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months away from complete total disaster. Keeping it together, shoestring to shoestring, paycheck to paycheck, stringing it along, living their best lives. This is not a critique of them or of their work ethic or of how hard they've tried. This is a critique of the system itself. The system of systems, which is, quite frankly, if you take a really cynical view, more akin to a free range, open air, volunteerism, media hype, fear-mongering based debt slavery prison than it is anything else. And now we're supposed to swallow whole cloth the claim that a real billionaire who is willing to spend any amount of money, like how much has he spent to date? The last time I checked and looked up the number, he was at 300 and something on his way to 400 and something $million. So let's round up. It's probably too early. Bloomberg has probably not spent $400 million yet. But I bet that by the next time he has to release numbers, because they have to quarterly, right? It'll be past 4 billion on its way to 5, not billion, 100 billion, 100 million. Sorry. The last number I factually knew was 300 some odd million. I wouldn't be surprised if the next time we see a number from Bloomberg, he has spent $450 million, 470, something like that. Now, he's not directly buying the election, right? Who do you send the money to? If you want to directly, straight up, just here, American government, I want to be president because I can buy it. Would that be a good system? The oligarchs want everyone to say yes. That would be a good system. That's why there's a wealth cult in this country. That's why there are Christian churches praying to Jesus to make you rich so that you can give back to the Christian churches that helped you get rich by praying to Jesus. There's a money cult in this country. And what is money? Oh, I don't know. That which corrupts almost as absolutely as power. Conversely, it has been described as the root of all evil. Now, am I being ridiculous? Am I blocking money energy from my life by thinking that way? Possibly. Am I trying to work through those blockages in my actual life so that I can draw and attract in more money? Absolutely. Am I trying to be a real work from home, media, independent performance artist? Darn tootin', that's it. That's exactly right, friends. Do I have a political opinion? Amen. Yes, I do. Do I have a spiritual opinion? Sat nam to that. Of course I do. And do I have free speech and the free will to say it how I damn well please? Last time I checked, you can say yes to that and take it seriously. So, Bloomberg's problem is Bloomberg. Why? Because he's just a nicer, more polite Trump. He's a billionaire. He's been a Republican and a Democrat and an independent. He's done some shady things. He's got some non-disclosure agreements against primarily, apparently, mostly women in a number that he refuses to confirm. And although Elizabeth Warren got to mop the floor with his face last night, ultimately, he handed her the opportunity by being Mike Bloomberg. If he had been a different guy with a different background, right? That's why I won't run for politics. I'll gladly be like the media guy that interviews all the politicians, but I don't want to run for politics. Thanks. My mother used to say, you should be a lawyer or a politician. You have it in you to be both. And I said, blah, blah. That's gross, Mom. Also, why are you suddenly British? We're not from England. And I retaliated, right? Never became either, obviously. So here I am. A has-been, struggling, postmodern, absurdist, entheogenic, fractional? That's not correct. Fractal. All those words. And fractal mystic coming at you live from my spare bedroom in my postmodern 21st century near apocalypse prefab house out in the desert. near the allure of Hollywood, but not trapped in it. This has been Election Madness 2020, where I just rambled about crazy shit tenuously related to the election. I don't think America wants another corrupt, rude, potentially maybe racist, potentially maybe chauvinist, cocky, self-confident rich guy in the White House. And I think they might like him even less when it becomes more commonly recognized and known by the electorate that Mike Bloomberg is the one guy in politics that has already literally tried and gotten away with the big thing that all of the resistance is paranoid and fucking crazy, worried that Trump might try to do. Right? Everyone's like freaking out that Trump is sliding towards tyranny or slow walking himself towards tyranny and might pull off an attempt of an American first, right? In the land of the free, home of the brave, this might be an attempt, according to some people everyone who supports Trump say is crazy, to usurp enough power from government and the people in order to change the rules and the strictures and the structures and the laws around the office of the presidency so that he can stay for a third or fourth term. Mike Bloomberg already did that in New York, yo. I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can encourage you to research who you're gonna vote. Hashtag Bloomberg is DNC Trump. Stay tuned for more.